Story 1. Me 26 female and my husband Jay 28 male are getting married November 30th. Jay has two sisters, Mary, 25 female and Regina 35 female. Both sisters have a husband and daughter. Mary approached us 4 months ago and asked if her daughter Katie 5 could perform a song for us. Katie is very sweet and we adore her. Mary said Katie had went to her music teacher and asked to help her sing so she could sing at our wedding, but Mary wanted our permission first. Jay and I said yes and are very excited to hear her perform. Apparently, Regina caught wind of this and basically told us that her daughter Emma is also performing a stand-up comedy act. Now, Emma is a very nice girl too but can sometimes be a lot. Regina kinda enables this behavior. She was diagnosed with ADHD but her and her mom use it as an excuse to her poor behavior. The other day I had told Emma to stop climbing on the furniture while we were all watching TV. Emma screamed in my face, "I have ADHD, you can't tell me what to do." Regina just shrugged. We asked what this comedy show entailed. She basically told us that it was a surprise and that we would love it. This was Monday. Last night Jay got a text from Mary. She had sent him a video that Regina had sent to her saying little preview of the act. The video was of Emma practicing her routine saying very inappropriate stuff that shouldn't be said at a wedding, let alone by your 10-year-old niece. The video ended as she was saying, "Congrats Al and Mouse. Jay and I have known each other since kindergarten. We had been friends our entire lives before heading off to college. Growing up, I was always on the bigger side. Jay, however, was a late bloomer. Senior year he was only 50 and like 100 pounds. I had been 55 since 8th grade and a lot more than 100 pounds. When we went to his family's house as an official couple for dinner, Regina said, "Wow, I can't believe the elephant and the mouse finally got together." She laughed and explained that Jay came home from school one day and told his family that he was going to marry me one day. She saw me at an event a few days later and thought it was funny that a little mouse like her brother would like an elephant of a girl like me. Her parents along with her siblings told her to knock it off, and that was the last time she ever said something like that. We have a feeling that a lot of the comedy act was actually Regina feeding Emma these jokes to pull something at our wedding. We ended up texted Regina letting her know we do want Emma to perform her skit. Since last night we have gotten non-stop texts from Regina saying that we're ruining her daughter's life and being mean by letting another child perform, but not letting hers. I don't feel like I am an asshole, but I feel like there could have been a better way to handle things, but I just didn't see it. So Ada. Story 2. My wife and I are married together and have 3 kids, 11, 8, 3. When I was in my 20s I donated sperm as there is a massive shortage in my country. I literally donated after reading about this shortage in the newspaper. I've always been upfront about this fact with me wife, always, and she has always said she's okay with it. Fast forward to yesterday, I answered the phone to a girl that immediately starts nervously apologizing for calling me, but that she had to speak with me personally. Obviously I have no idea what the fuck is going on, so I ask her to explain what she's talking about. Turns out this girl is my daughter. I understand it's wrong to call her my daughter when I didn't raise her, but for lack of a better word, and just turned 18. After turning 18 she got access to my contact details, as required under my country's law regarding sperm donors. She called my house last week to talk to me, and my wife picked up. Apparently my wife told her that I wanted nothing to do with her, and that she should never call this number again before hanging up. Honestly broke my heart to hear that the woman I loved could be so fucking heartless. So for the last week this poor girl has been crying her eyes out trying to work up the courage to call again, and thankfully she did so when I was home. I tried to keep my calm while on the phone and reassure her that I did not say any of that. We organized a place, time to meet, and as soon as my wife got home later that night I blew up at her. Honestly, I've never yelled at anyone as long as I can remember, but I couldn't hold it in. Am I wrong to think that's so severely fucked up of my wife to do? I honestly can't comprehend how she could say that. I'm not thinking straight and need some advice on how to deal with this. Story 3. Hesitant to post an update after how infuriating some of the replies in the previous thread were, but figure I owe it to those of you that offered genuine well-meaning advice. Plus I've had some time to calm down. I probably won't reply to comments because otherwise I'm just going to get worked up again by people saying my wife didn't betray my trust, etc. If you're a woman and are going to say it's understandable what my wife did, then consider how you'd feel if you put a kid up for adoption when you were young. That kid tried to reach out when they turned 18, and your husband told them you wanted nothing to with them without ever telling you they tried to reach out. It's not understandable. Wife texted me yesterday and said we needed to talk while I was at work. This was the first time either of us had spoken or messaged each other since the fight. I dropped our kids off at my parents' house so we could be alone and went straight home. I'm not sure exactly what I was expecting her to say, but I genuinely hoped she would at least apologize first and foremost. because in my opinion she severely betrayed my trust by not only denying my agency but also lying to me about it, and then downplaying the entire ordeal. When I get home and we sit down to talk, the first thing she says is that she forbids me from seeing this young woman, not an apology, an ultimatum that if I went and saw her, she would kick me out of the house, which is laughable considering I owned the house before marrying her. I asked her if she was serious, if she isn't even going to apologize, etc., and she reaffirmed she has nothing to apologize for. Yeah, okay. At this point I remembered someone's comment in that post about how she might have done this before. I asked her if she has ever done anything like this previously, and she said no. I kept pushing her and she kept saying no. Finally I told her that I had already called the fertility clinic to reach out to any parents and explain what my wife had done in case they had tried to contact me previously. Not sure what has come of that yet. I explained that if I find out she has and she doesn't come clean now, I'm divorcing her immediately. She immediately changes tune and says she has only done it one other time. Only. Fuck. That only infuriated me, even though it's just a goddamn word. Anyway, turns out another girl called a couple years back after she turned 18 too. Her parents are lesbians, and so she just wanted to meet her biological father since she doesn't have a father of her own, according to my wife, so take it with a grain of salt at this point. I tend to believe what she's saying, as the original girl also has lesbian parents and wanted to meet me for the same reason. She wouldn't say exactly what she said to this young woman, but she did say she made sure she'd stay away from our family. I mean, at least my wife was finally honest with me, but Jesus Christ, what a fucking heartless thing to do. I feel like I don't even know my wife. The woman I thought I married had some fucking empathy. She still hasn't apologized and goes back to forbidding me from seeing this young woman. I explained she no longer has a say in the matter. Had she explained her concerns to me like an adult, I would have listened to them and taken them seriously. But by trying to deny me having any choice in the matter, and for being needlessly cruel to these girls, she doesn't get a say in this anymore. I told her she has 7 days to give me a genuine apology and agree to marriage counseling, or I would call a divorce lawyer. I also reaffirmed she doesn't get a say in whether I meet with this girl, but I would consider her feelings if any future kids reach out. A few hours later she apologized. I say apologized in quotes because it was clearly not genuine, but whatever, it's at least an admission of guilt. So we're going to marriage counseling and try to work through this. TBH though, I don't think I'll ever see her the same way again, so I have doubts our marriage will last. Story 4. My boyfriend is a big hero fanatic and does everything in his power to be like one. It's really endearing, and it's one of the many things I love about him, because he wants to be the good he wishes to see in the world. But this mindset he has is why we are fighting right now. We've been quarantining at my apartment, he's not on the lease, and he suggested we go on a night walk since we've been getting stir crazy from being inside all day. He figured that it'd be better for social distancing to go out at night. I was hesitant because we live in a bad neighborhood, but he assured me he'd protect me. On our walk, we were cornered by a man with a knife that demanded our wallets. I remembered John Mulaney's Street Smarts bit from the Netflix show and was going to throw my wallet past the mugger so we could run away, but my boyfriend started arguing with him and was spouting off a bunch of stuff about justice and how the mugger would and tg at away yth this. It looked like he was getting ready to fight. I was taken aback by this, and I guess the mugger was too, because it gave me enough time to take the important stuff out of my wallet while he was distracted. I interrupted my boyfriend's monologue and said, "Take it, just don't hurt us," and threw it behind the guy. When he turned, I grabbed my boyfriend's hand, and we booked it back to the apartment. We got home safely, and I was relieved that we were okay, but my boyfriend was fuming. He was pissed that I interrupted him from protecting me when he could have, in his words, clearly handled it himself. I told him he could have gotten himself killed. He said that he was obviously stronger than the mugger and would have won. I explained to him that the guy had a weapon and my boyfriend didn't, so the odds were stacked against him. Not only that, but I didn't want my boyfriend to get killed over a damn wallet. We argued for longer than necessary, so I shut it down and told him we could talk about it when our adrenaline wasn't so high, but I needed to file a police report while the event was fresh. He stomped off to our room while I called the cops. When I was off the phone, I went to lay with him, but he rolled away from me. The next day, he was still angry and had already told his friends and family about what had happened to us. I thought that they would be understanding about how I handled it, but they were mad at me for not letting him have his opportunity to be a hero. His mom even ridiculed me for emasculating him. I want to reopen the conversation so we can understand each other and move past it, but if he isn't receptive, I'm going to ask him to move back in with his mom. I want to understand where I went wrong if I went wrong, but honestly, I feel like he's being childish and unreasonable. I just want to know AITB, or is. Story 5. So, He called me last night and I answered. He asked if I was okay and how I was doing. Then he asked if he could come over and I said he could. I planned on bringing everything up again myself, because he had been very passive-aggressive and refusing to talk about it, but when he showed up, he immediately started apologizing. Everything you guys pointed out, he started agreeing with. He was saying that he was being delusional, unrealistic, the whole hero fantasy isn't healthy. He jeopardized my safety and that wasn't okay, etc. I wasn't prepared for this behavior, especially compared to how he'd been acting all week. We talked for hours before we went to bed together and everything seemed like it worked out fine. I was really on the verge of ending things, so it was a relief I didn't have to in that moment. Then this morning came and shit hit the fan. In my comment update on the last post, I mentioned that a friend was trying to mediate. I texted that friend that things worked out, and they said something along the lines of "I'm so glad you were able to apologize." Some people mentioned that maybe he told a different story, which isn't something I looked into, but I decided to ask, and woo boy, I'm glad I did. Firstly, he told everyone that the night walk was my idea. Then, apparently, we were never mugged. Nope, apparently I just started talking shit to a stranger on the street in an attempt to make him show he was a strong man and protect me. And the only reason we were able to get away was because he de-escalated the situation, and that it was emasculating because he was put in a position where he felt like he was forced to fight for my honor. Are you fucking kidding me? To make a long story short, he tried to play dumb and backpedal this morning when I confronted him about it, and then when I pressed him to be honest, he snapped again and said, what was I supposed to say? The whole situation was embarrassing, and it was going to make me look bad. We argued again for a bit, but I was just done. I told him to go and that it wasn't gonna work. He didn't have much stuff, so it was easy to put in a spare grocery bag and just toss at him while he angrily left. He's currently outside of my complex waiting for mommy to pick him up. As far as I'm concerned, I dodged a bullet. Fuck his friends, fuck his mom, and fuck him. Thank you for opening my eyes. Reddit. I kicked him out. Story 5. My 28 female and husband 29 male have a daughter Peyton 7 female. Peyton goes to a small school with 20 kids in her grade. Her birthday party is next month, and we sent out invitations to her friends at school. We invited the whole class except one student. The student we did not invite has bullied Peyton several times. We've had meetings with the school and parents. Obviously Peyton doesn't want this kid at her party. The other girl's mother called me to talk about it, saying how now her daughter is crying she was the only kid not invited and everyone at school is talking about the party. Peyton's parties are known by her classmates to be very over the top. I explained her daughter isn't nice to my daughter, and that's the reason she wasn't invited. The mother knows this. The mother said I'm teaching my child to be a bully and use her wealth to make friends. I disagreed. The mother then asked if she had her daughter apology and write Peyton a letter we could reconsider. I told her we would not, and it has become a big deal every time I see the mom. AITA. Edit for questions. Invitations were not handed out in the classroom. I handed them to parents directly. I've seen a few people ask exactly what kind of bullying has occurred, so I'll give a couple examples from last year and this year. One time Peyton came home crying because the little girl was so mean to her, telling her she wasn't pretty, too chubby, etc. Peyton has come home crying several times because the girl has told her there's no way she's a cheerleader. Peyton does cheering on weekends because she wasn't pretty. She has told Peyton she couldn't play with the rest of the girls in the class when they were all playing jump rope at recess. The other girls told her to let Peyton play, so when it was Peyton's turn, the girl purposely got her out by not swinging the rope nicely. The teacher saw that happen. She's called Peyton a crybaby, and this is only a couple of the incidents that happened. Update. Peyton's party was today. She had so much fun. The student that was not invited did show up but did not make it past the community gate. In our neighborhood you have to have someone at the gate in order for people to enter. We had face painting, balloon animals, a bounce house, an obstacle course, a magic show, and character appearances. We even had a life-size Barbie box for pictures and pink everything. There was activities for the kids to do and everything was a hit. Also thank you to the commenter who suggested swag bags. We did have them and the kids loved it.